So in this match, I decided to play Layla, and honestly, I feel like a lot of people still underestimate her potential. And to be fair, I kinda get why. Layla doesn't have any dashes or mobility skills, and she's one of the squishiest marksmen in the game. Plus, let's be honest, most of the time when people see a Layla in their team, it's usually some inexperienced player who ends up feeding or positioning badly. So naturally, everyone assumes Layla is weak or useless. But that's actually not true at all. In fact, she's one of the strongest late-game heroes in the entire game. If you build her properly and play safely, her burst damage is absolutely insane. She can literally melt tanks and erase squishy heroes in just a few hits. The thing is, you just have to know her limits and play smart. Her biggest weakness is definitely the lack of mobility. She can easily get caught off guard if you position wrong, so you really need to pay attention to your spacing. But at the same time, she also has one of the longest attack ranges in the whole game. And once you get Malefic Gun, her range becomes crazy. You can safely poke enemies from a distance without even letting them come close. Now, for her mobility issue, I usually go with Flicker because it's a great escape tool when someone dives you. But actually, if you manage to land your first skill on a target, it gives you a short movement speed boost, around 1 or 2 seconds, which helps a lot during fights. So she's not completely without mobility. And people forget this, but Layla also has a stun. If you land your second skill and then follow up with one basic attack, you can actually stun the enemy for about a second. It's not super long, but it's enough to turn the fight in your favor, especially in close duels. Her ultimate is another underrated ability. It's kind of like a mini Xavier ultimate. It has long range and huge burst, and you can even use it to finish off escaping enemies or help in team fights from a safe distance. So yeah, she's not a noob hero at all. If you play her properly, take good positions, and use her range advantage wisely, you can literally carry games even in Immortal rank. I'm not even joking. I used to play only Layla in solo queue in Immortal rank, and I've gotten MVPs and carried plenty of matches. I know it might sound funny to hear that, but that's the truth. You just need patience and good positioning. Once you hit your core items, Layla becomes a monster. And for the emblem, my personal favorite is Quantum Charge. It gives you a bit of HP regen and a burst of movement speed after hitting enemies with basic attacks, which helps you kite and survive longer. That small speed boost really makes a difference when you're trying to reposition or escape after a fight. So yeah, don't sleep on Layla. She might look simple, but in the right hands, she's absolutely terrifying. So in this match, my opponent on the gold lane was Hanabi, and honestly, the moment I saw that, I already knew what kind of match this was going to be. Most of the time, when someone picks Hanabi, it usually means they're not very experienced, and this one was exactly like that. It was really easy to suppress her right from the start. Even though she had a Tigreal babysitting her, it didn't really make much difference because I had Rafaela as my support, who's actually my duo partner in this match. And honestly, that made things so much smoother. Rafaela's healing and movement speed boost helped me a lot in trading damage and dodging Tigreal's setups. So even though they were playing kind of aggressive early on, we didn't have much trouble dealing with them. I could easily zone Hanabi out, and Rafaela would just keep me topped up with HP, so the lane was basically under our control most of the time. But here's where things got tricky. It wasn't really Hanabi or Tigreal who were the problem in this match. The real problems were two players. One was their mage, Vale, and the other was actually our own You Should. Let's start with Vale. If you ever see the enemy team pick Vale, I'm telling you right now, never pick Layla. I learned that lesson the hard way in this match. Vale is one of the main counters to Layla. Even though both of them are long-range heroes, Vale's burst is way stronger and much harder to dodge, especially for someone with zero mobility like Layla. No matter how safe I tried to play, he'd still catch me off guard with his combos. I tried to position far back, but his tornado and ultimate could still reach me, and if I didn't have Flicker ready, I was just gone instantly. It was so frustrating because Layla's biggest strength, her range, basically becomes useless against Vale's crazy long-range damage. And now coming to the second problem, are Yu Zhong. Oh my god, this guy? He had literally the best advantage against their team. I mean, Yu Zhong is one of the strongest fighters when it comes to dealing with backline mages like Vale. He can dive, sustain, and create so much pressure. But this Yu Zhong was seriously one of the worst players I've ever seen. He'd dive in at the wrong time, use his skills randomly, and die instantly without doing anything useful. He never engaged properly, never peeled for the backline, and most of the time, he'd just feed. So even though we were doing great on the gold lane and had a solid start, the mid and frontline fights were just a disaster. Every time I tried to join the team fight, Yu Zhong would either go in alone and die, or completely ignore the enemy backline and just walk around doing nothing. It was honestly painful to watch. So because of that, we started struggling a lot in the mid and late game. Vale kept zoning me out of fights, Yu Zhong wasn't doing his job, and I couldn't even get close enough to deal proper damage without risking my life. It became one of those matches where you just know you have to carry super hard, but your team isn't giving you any space to do so. Still, I tried my best to stay alive and farm whenever possible. Because that's the thing with Layla. If you can survive and reach your item power spike, you can turn the game around. But yeah, this match was definitely tough because of those two players. One on the enemy team and one on my own. So at this point in the match, we were literally about to win. Like, I'm not even joking. Their base was wide open, and we had just one minion left hitting it. The problem was, that poor minion was hanging on with almost no HP left. If just one of our teammates had stepped up and taken the hit from the base, we could have easily ended the game right there. But of course, what do you expect from randoms, right? Now, as for me, I'm the damage dealer of the team. My job is to hit the base, not to tank it. And even if I wanted to shield the damage myself, I literally couldn't because the minion was in front, blocking the way. I couldn't move ahead to take the base's hit since I would have ended up dying before I even touched it. So at that moment, I had two choices. Either wait and risk losing the momentum, or just take a gamble. And, well, you already know me. I went for the gamble. I activated my immortality and tried to finish the base myself. But yeah, it didn't go as planned. Right when I went for it, Tigreal came out of nowhere and caught me completely off guard with his combo. I got stunned, deleted instantly, and my immortality popped. Before I could even move again, I was dead. And that's when things went downhill fast. After I died, my teammates, who were already playing worse than bots at that point, all followed one by one. Focus. Nothing. And don't even get me started on Yu Zhong. This guy was literally just standing in the middle of the map, doing absolutely nothing. The enemy team was pushing our exposed base, and he didn't even bother to defend for 1 second. So yeah, from being one hit away from victory, we ended up getting completely wiped out and lost the momentum. That's just the classic solo queue experience. One small mistake, and everything turns upside down. But you know what? Even though we ended up losing the game, I still wanted to show you guys something important through this match, that Layla is really not as bad as people think she is. Yeah, we had a terrible team composition, no proper frontline, and some questionable teammates. But even with all that, I still managed to carry the entire game and keep up against a lineup that was way stronger on paper. The fact that I could still deal massive damage, hold my lane, and almost finish the base just proves how strong Layla can actually be when played properly. And don't even get me started on our so-called frontliner, Yu Zhong. I mean, you'd expect him to be the one soaking up damage, right? But no, this guy was literally squishier than me. He'd jump in, melt in 2 seconds, and leave the rest of us to deal with the mess. So at that point, it basically felt like I was the one taking both the damage and dealing it. But still, even with all that chaos, Layla performed incredibly well. This match just proves that if you position smartly, play around your range, and time your items and emblems right, you can make her shine even in higher ranks. She might not have dashes or shields, but her damage output more than makes up for it. So yeah, don't underestimate Layla just because most players use her wrong. If you learn her strengths and play her to her full potential, she can actually be one of the most powerful marksmen in the game.
Music to my ears, the of doom.
So in this match, I was actually up against a Layla, and as you can already tell from the gameplay, she was really ineffective throughout the match. The thing is, most Layla players still don't really know how to play her safely or how to make proper use of her advantages. They just stand in bad positions, overextend, and end up getting punished over and over again. Basically, she didn't stand much of a chance. She played like how most inexperienced Layla players do, without patience, without proper positioning, and that's why she got punished so hard. And as for Granger, I've already said it so many times before, he's one of the most effective marksmen in almost every stage of the game. His early and mid-game power is just insane. The amount of burst damage he can deal with his skills makes him a real threat even without a full build. You can easily dominate fights, clear objectives faster, and control the tempo of the game just because of how strong his early pressure is. But when it comes to the late game, Granger starts to fall off pretty hard. His basic attack scaling doesn't keep up with other marksmen, and once enemy tanks start building defense or lifesteal items, his burst damage doesn't hit as hard anymore. Like I've mentioned in my other videos too, Granger's biggest weakness is that his late-game damage just can't compete with heroes like Layla, Beatrix, or Melissa. Still, if you look at his overall performance, he's definitely one of the best marksmen out there. His mobility, burst, and early dominance make him super reliable in most team comps. And let's not forget, he's been picked countless times in professional esports tournaments, so you already know how powerful he can be in the right hands. So yeah, even though he's not that great in the late game, his overall value throughout the match easily makes him one of the top-tier picks in the marksman role. So in this match, I was up against Mia, and honestly, it's kind of funny. First I fought Hanabi, then Layla, and now Mia. It's like I'm facing every underrated marksman one by one. I don't know why people think these heroes are bad. I guess it's because most players who use them don't know how to play safe or position properly, so everyone just assumes the heroes are weak. But that's not really true. Personally, I can make use of almost every marksman, except maybe Hanabi, because after Glory rank she really starts to fall off. But with Mia and Layla, I can still play well even in Immortal rank. Mia especially is super strong if played right. Her ultimate is basically a mix of Purify and Sprint, plus she goes invisible, which makes it even better. She's only bad in terms of mobility, but her damage output is crazy once she's farmed. Of course, there are better marksmen in the game, but my point is, don't underestimate heroes like Mia or Layla. If you know how to use their strengths, they can still perform really well, even at high ranks.